Shameless.
United in the Europa League, Europa League. Me tell them one time, and we say Europa League. Europa.
Sevilla 3, Manchester United 0. Rich, it's been a pleasure to meet you, first of all.
Yeah.
So it's been a pleasure, but
meet you, bro.
it's probably not the best game to meet you in, because look, I heard all your opinions throughout the game and even before the game.
Yeah.
I agree with a lot of what you have to say, but today, De Gea, Maguire,
Yeah.
Eriksen, how would you analyse that game?
Absolutely indefensible. You can't defend that performance. And, I said it earlier, but looking at every single player on that pitch today, even the subs that came on, no one could hold their heads high. Absolutely. Like, it was absolutely poor performance from every single player. I think everybody played below their standards. And if they look back at that game, I think they're going to be very disappointed in themselves. I sound like a parent, like talking to my kids, but they're gonna be disappointed because we've done so much this season to get to this position. We've you think back to that round of 32 clash with Barcelona. Yeah. You think back to the last game against Real Betis, the last round against Real Betis. We did all these things to get to this position, and then we let ourselves down in this round. Yeah. Shocking, because across the tie, across both legs. I was about to say across both legs we're the better team. Definitely not. Yeah. But it was in our hands in terms of we could have, especially in that first leg, we could have put the game to bed. Yeah. And then you look at how we started the first half in this game. We didn't want it. How we started the second half. Before, we were all sitting here saying, just before this game started the second half, don't start cold. You need to come out fast and ready for the second half, because otherwise it's going to be like same thing happened at Liverpool. But we just weren't on it. They just weren't ready. Absolutely poor performance all round.
And I need to ask you, I mean, we were talking about Luke Shaw maybe starting this game, maybe Rashford, but it was quite clear that both these players were not fit enough to start the game. But even then, they come on, there's a bit more of a threat from Rashford. The directness, he was decent. It wasn't too bad. But then you see the whole morale kind of dropped. Everything kind of dropped. So were there any standout players for you, if any?
No, not at all. And that's what I mean by even the players that came off the bench, right? Like you said just now, Shaw came on, had a bit more aggression. Yeah. Rashford came on, had a bit more threat, because we had no threat throughout the whole game, right? Yeah. But then even, after, I don't know if it was after the second goal or, what happened, but you could just see whatever it was that affected the team, affected them, right? And it was just absolutely shocking. I just can't believe that they didn't perform. It's a shame, because you're talking about their starting lineup, and whether he could have started Shaw instead of Maguire, whether he could have started Rashford instead of maybe Sancho, or Martial, because Martial looked like he was carrying an injury. Yeah, he did. But these guys just come back off injuries themselves. Yeah. And we sit back and we look at the team. At the start of the game, we're talking about the lineup, and if I'm a United fan, I didn't think this team had enough. The starting lineup had enough to beat this team. Like Sevilla are 13th in La Liga. They have nothing to play for except this Europa League. And we all know they've got this aura, whatever it is. There's something about them. And they are our bogey team. We've never beaten them. I said it. We've never beaten them now in, I think, 5-6 games. Yep. De Gea's never beaten them, even though he played in the Liga for however many years with Atletico. There's just something about this team when we face them in Europa League. It's just a shame. It's just absolutely devastating. I can't even believe it, to be honest, personally. And,
we need to talk about that change at half time. Wan-Bissaka comes off. Kind of an interesting substitution, because I did think he was poor. Wan-Bissaka was quite one of the worst players in the first half, but everyone was definitely. Did you expect a different one? Because we were saying Maguire needs to come off at half time. Why do you think he kept Maguire on and took Wan-Bissaka off? Because then Dalot went to the right. I think keeping Dalot at left back, I think he was doing well. I think there's a different problem there to solve when Dalot's at left back. Obviously, inversion, all of that. You know what I mean? Inversion. But tactical solutions. But why do you think he done that? What was his thought process in that moment?
I mean, if I could think like Ten Hag, then I'd probably be the manager of United. But and I'm glad we're trying to find some positives, because I've already been looking online, and you'd think we've had the worst season and we're about to get relegated. We've had a good season, guys. Like, remember that we have had a good season when you consider how we started at the start of the season. But in terms of what you're saying about the substitution, I would have liked to see Shaw come on, but then, and I don't know why he kept Maguire on, because you'd maybe say maybe it's because he's trying to create partnerships for the next game. But Maguire's suspended for the next game.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why I kept him on. Maybe
game time. Maybe that's what
maybe it's game time. Yeah, aerial duels. Maybe, but he didn't win any aerial duels. But maybe it's because we're trying to make sure we don't put too many minutes in certain man's legs for the next games because Maguire's going to get a rest anyway. But what I would have liked to see was keep Sancho on the pitch for a bit longer, put Rashford on with Sancho, take off because Eriksen didn't cover himself with glory today. Eriksen was not great today. You know, he just came up on the TV and he didn't, for me, he wasn't that good. He looked a bit maybe leggy. He just was giving the ball away a lot. But then, you know, we mentioned it. The whole team was a bit poor. We haven't spoken about it yet, but De Gea, well, we kind of did.
Tell me your thoughts about De Gea because first goal, us mainly we're kind of blaming Maguire because he's open. He asked for the ball. Maybe De Gea could have scanned. Maguire doesn't look over his left shoulder. Looks on the right though. But then De Gea, terrible touch, and then we self-inflicted really.
100%. I defended De Gea in this stream.
You did,
and I regret it because you can't defend what he did in that second half. Now going back to what you just said about the pass to Maguire. 50-50, let's say. Before, maybe I'll say more Maguire, but let's say 50-50 because we all know that the Gea's distribution isn't his best attribute. And I've never debated that. Like, nobody's ever said, like, even when we're talking about, distro, we're not really saying he's actually got that in the bag, right? We're just saying allow it because there's more bigger fish to fry in the team. But we all know deep down that the Gea is a problem, right? In terms of certain areas. But that today, indefensible. Like, absolutely shocking. Like, come on, man. Like, you're a professional football player, bro. Yeah, man. Like, it's just a simple touch. There was literally no pressure on him. Yeah. And I can't defend that. Nobody can defend that. So, you know, De Gea, all the people that have been coming against De Gea have a field day because at this point there's nothing you can say about that.
And the last thing I need to talk to you about is Martial. I thought he had a somewhat decent game, dropping deep, trying to get involved, linking up the play. This is Martial. That's what he likes to do, and he suits the system that Ten Hag wants to build.
He does.
But comes off injured again. This is probably the 4th or 5th time he comes off this season.
Basically.
He needs to go, surely. What's your opinion on Martial?
It's a sticky one still because I like him as a player, top talent, excellent player, does a lot for the team, but we can't rely on him. We just can't. And I think it's got to that stage now where even if you're his most ardent fan, you're his biggest fan, you have to admit that we can't rely on this guy. Yeah. You know, you could be the best player in the world. You could give me if you tell me now, you know, do you want to have Haaland and Mbappe, but they're gonna only play 2 games a season? I don't want them. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Like, I don't care how well you play in those 2 games or 10 games even out of 38 games. Yeah. Like, that's not gonna win us the league. That's not gonna win us trophies. You know. So we can't rely on him, unfortunately. Yeah. And you know, I'm not pushing him out of the club, but if he's gonna go, if you know there's an opportunity for him to leave, then let him leave because we can't rely on him, unfortunately. So it is what it is.
And lastly, can we beat Brighton?
Yes, we can. Will we beat Brighton? To be confirmed.
To be confirmed.